Welcome to the Inca Empire, Tawantinsuyu, the land of the four quarters. It's the largest empire in the pre-Columbian Americas, stretching from the high Andes down to the dry coastal deserts and up into the lush green folds of the Amazon. But you're not an emperor, a noble, or even a craftsman. No, you're a chasqui, a royal messenger, and that means your life is a blur of motion, altitude, and exhaustion. You begin your day before the sun kisses the mountains. Your tunic is simple, woven tightly to help hold your breath in the thin air. You wear oyotas, thin sandals made from llama hide, and carry a small conch shell horn and a quipu, a complex knot record system used in place of writing. You're trained from childhood to read and carry quipus, to run like a deer, and to memorize imperial orders with perfect clarity. You're stationed along the Capac Ñan, the great Inca Road system, a marvel of engineering with over 25,000 miles of paved trails, rope bridges, stone staircases, and terrifying cliff-hugging paths. Your leg of the relay might only be a few miles long, but don't be fooled. It's uphill, the air is razor thin, and the Empire is counting on you. You run, full speed, always, and as soon as you reach the next tambo, a way station stocked with dried meat, corn cakes, and coca leaves to chew, you pass the message to the next chasqui and blow your conch shell to signal your arrival. Then, without rest, you may be sent back with a reply or diverted to another trail altogether. Your lungs burn, your legs throb, but there's no time to slow down. You carry sacred messages, orders from the Sapa Inca himself, divine son of the sun god Inti. Delays could cost lives, throw off harvest schedules, or disrupt a ritual meant to keep the cosmos in balance. If you stumble or fall, if you misremember a number in the quipu or fail to deliver a message swiftly enough. The punishment is severe. The Inca Empire functions with near military precision. Mercy is rare. One forgotten instruction can mean a village missing its rations or a governor executing the wrong orders. And then there's the environment. You sprint across dizzying high-altitude plains, through frigid mountain passes and steaming jungles. You're soaked 1 hour, scorched the next. The stone steps chew at your knees. Rope bridges sway wildly in the wind as you dart across canyons with no safety rail. A wrong step could mean 1,000-foot fall. Sometimes you're carrying more than words. A golden idol, a sacred textile, even a small animal for ritual sacrifice. These aren't just cargo, they're holy. To drop or damage them is to insult the gods. You could be blamed for a bad harvest, an earthquake, or a sickness. The spiritual weight you carry is as heavy as your physical load. You're one of the most respected yet expendable people in the empire. There are thousands of chasquis, always another waiting in line to run, always someone faster coming up behind you. And so, every day, you run. You run past mountain lakes that reflect the stars, past silent villages whose people bow to the runners, past soldiers, llamas, and stone walls built so precisely that not even a blade of grass fits between the blocks. You run for the empire, for the gods, for your family's honor, but you never stop. Because if you do, you're no longer a chasqui, you're just a body on the road. The Death of Atahualpa, Gold, God, and Guile. The story begins not with conquest, but with chaos. It's the year 1532, and the Inca Empire is trembling. The great Sapa Inca, Huayna Capac, has died of a strange illness brought from a world the Inca had never known existed, smallpox. It swept in like a ghost ahead of the Spanish, a sickness without warriors, without banners, without warning. In the wake of Huayna Capac's death, the empire split. 2 sons, Atahualpa and Huascar, claimed the throne. A brutal civil war followed. Huascar ruled from Cusco, the sacred heart of the empire. Atahualpa, from the northern city of Quito, gathered the loyalty of seasoned generals. Their armies clashed across the Andes in battles more devastating than anything the empire had known before. Atahualpa emerged victorious. Huascar was captured, his followers slaughtered, and Atahualpa, now the undisputed Sapa Inca, paused to rest in the highland city of Cajamarca. He was powerful, triumphant, untouched by fear. But just beyond the mountains, a new threat approached. Francisco Pizarro arrived with fewer than 200 men, Spanish conquistadors. Hardened by years of fighting in the New World, their steel glinting under the sun, their horses snorting steam in the thin air, creatures the Inca had never seen. To the Inca, a horse was part man, part beast, a living thunderclap. Pizarro had something far more dangerous than weapons. He had timing. He sent word to Atahualpa, inviting him to meet at the city square in Cajamarca. Atahualpa, confident in his divine power and his overwhelming numbers, accepted. He arrived not with an army, but with a ceremonial entourage, unarmed nobles, priests and dancers, dressed in gold and feathers, carrying fans and incense, a display of wealth, not war. And then the trap was sprung. From behind stone walls, the Spanish attacked. Their guns exploded with fire and smoke. Their swords cleaved through unarmoured men. The horses trampled and terrified. The massacre was swift and brutal. Thousands of Inca nobles were slain. Atahualpa was captured, and the world shifted. At first, Pizarro treated Atahualpa with a strange politeness. The Sapa Inca was allowed to eat with dignity. He was given scribes, translators, and even religious debates. But Atahualpa wasn't passive. From his prison, he sent messages to his generals. He had Huascar, his rival, executed, fearing the Spanish might use him as a puppet. But Pizarro had his eyes on something else entirely: gold. To the Spanish, the empire shimmered. Temples plated in gold, statues, goblets and masks, all sacred, all beautiful, all irresistible. Atahualpa, desperate to buy his freedom, offered a ransom unlike anything history had seen. He would fill a room with gold, a room over 22 feet long and 8 feet high, stacked with golden treasures up to the line he traced on the wall, and 2 more rooms filled with silver. The Spanish agreed. Over months, messengers rushed across the empire, collecting gold from temples, palaces, and tombs. Sacred items were melted down into bars. The ransom arrived in llamas and litters, glinting under the highland sun. In all, over 13,000 pounds of gold and 26,000 pounds of silver were collected. But once the gold was in Spanish hands, something shifted. They could not let Atahualpa go. He was too powerful, too beloved, too dangerous. A trial was staged. The charges were fabricated: rebellion, paganism, fratricide. The verdict was predetermined. Atahualpa was sentenced to death. On the night of his execution, a friar named Vicente Valverde offered him a choice: convert to Christianity, and he would be spared the flames. Atahualpa accepted, not because he believed in the Spanish God, but because in Inca tradition, the body must remain intact for the soul to live on. To be burned was to be erased, and so they garroted him, strangled him with a rope tied to a post. The Sapa Inca, the son of the sun, died not in battle, not in ceremony, but in a dusty square, surrounded by foreigners. The empire would never recover. And yet, The story of Atahualpa's death was not just one of betrayal. It was the moment two worlds collided, one built on gold and sun, the other on conquest and the cross. The echoes of that collision still ring in the Andes, where the stones remember and the mountains never forget. The mystery of the Golden Llama. High in the Andes, where the clouds skim the mountaintops and the earth feels close to the sky, there are secrets buried just beneath your feet. Not ruins, not bones, but offerings. Hidden gifts wrapped in ceremony and silence, and among the most mysterious of these sacred treasures is the Golden Llama. To understand why, you have to let go of how modern minds see gold. In the Inca world, gold was not currency. It was not wealth in the way we think of it. It was sweat of the sun, a living material. It shimmered like sunlight, was soft to the touch, and could be shaped into anything the priests or artisans imagined. But for all its brilliance, gold was not used in trade. The Inca had no coins, no market stalls bartering with golden pieces. Instead, gold belonged to the sacred, to the temples, to the emperor, to the gods. And the llama, humble, shaggy, wide-eyed, was the backbone of the Inca world. Llamas carried burdens across impossible roads. Their wool clothed the people, their meat fed celebrations, their dung fertilized the cold Andean soil. To the Inca, llamas were not just animals, they were sacred lifelines, living symbols of abundance, duty, and cosmic balance. So when the Inca needed to make an offering to the Apus, the mountain spirits, or to Pachamama, the Earth Mother, they offered llamas, real ones in living rituals, and sometimes they offered them in gold. The golden llama figurines were not toys. They were not decorations, they were messengers, crafted with exquisite detail, ears alert, legs folded as if kneeling, sometimes wearing tiny woven cords around their necks. Some even had tiny loads strapped to their backs, mimicking the burdens real llamas carried on the empire's roads. These figurines were buried high in the mountains, deep in caves, or beneath temple floors. Each one was placed with care, wrapped in cloth, accompanied by other offerings, shell beads from the coast, feathers from the jungle, silver alpacas, tiny gold corn kernels, or cups made from spondylus shell, an orange-red ocean shell considered more precious than emeralds. Why bury such treasures? Because the Inca believed that life required balance, that every harvest, every successful battle, every safe journey depended on giving something back. These offerings were not bribes. They were acts of gratitude and cosmic responsibility. To take without giving would bring imbalance, and imbalance could awaken the fury of the gods. Drought, earthquakes, even the collapse of empire, and so they buried gold in silence. Fast forward to the 20th century. Archaeologists hiking across the cold, thin air of Mount Lulailaco in Argentina uncover something astonishing. Near the summit, at over 22,000 feet, they find the perfectly preserved bodies of Inca children, sacrificed more than 500 years ago in a ceremony called Capacocha. Next to one of the children, carefully wrapped and protected in a bundle, is a golden llama. It shines in the light after centuries underground, untouched by time. Its delicate ears, its gentle posture, still perfect. Who made it? Whose hands placed it there? What words were whispered as it was lowered into the earth? No one knows for sure. Other golden llamas have been found too, on volcanoes, in sealed chests, in high-altitude sanctuaries. They always appear in sacred contexts, never randomly, always with purpose. And what's most mysterious is this: many of these figurines show signs of being deliberately deactivated, crushed slightly, pierced with a tool, or laid alongside burned offerings, as if their spiritual purpose had been fulfilled, as if the llama itself had given its golden spirit to the gods. These acts weren't seen as destruction, but transformation. The gold was alive. The ritual had changed it. Today, most of the golden llamas that remain are locked away in museum vaults. They are studied, scanned, admired. But their original meaning, the prayers they carried, the gods they were meant to please, lives only in echoes. There may still be more hidden in the Andes, buried deep, protected by wind, snow, and centuries of silence. If you find one, it won't speak, but it remembers. It remembers a time when gold was not for riches, but for the sky, the soil, and the spirit of the llama. A sacred feast atop Machu Picchu, high in the Andes, wrapped in mist and mystery, rests the citadel of Machu Picchu, a city of stone, untouched by time, perched so high above the Urubamba River that the clouds drift below it like slow waves. To stand there is to feel the sky. Built sometime in the mid-1400s during the reign of Pachacuti, the legendary 9th Sapa Inca, Machu Picchu was not a common city. It wasn't meant for armies or farmers. It was something else. A royal retreat, a sacred observatory, a cosmic stage where the heavens and the earth met in harmony. But perhaps most intriguingly, it was a place to feast. Not in the way we might imagine, a raucous banquet, spilling wine and laughter. Number in the Inca world, a feast could be sacred, ritualistic, a moment when food and ceremony became one. Let's imagine you are there. The sun has just risen, casting golden light across the stone terraces. The Intihuatana, a sacred stone thought to tether the sun to the earth, glows softly. Priests have observed the solstice from the temple of the sun. Everything is in balance. Now it is time to give thanks. You are among the chosen. Nobility, priests, astronomers, and favoured artisans. Your journey to this hidden mountain palace was long, winding through narrow paths carved into cliffsides. You've passed sacred rivers, stone staircases, and sky-piercing peaks. But now you sit cross-legged on woven mats within sight of the sacred plaza. Before you, a feast. Golden bowls hold quinoa, glistening with fragrant herbs. Steaming chuño, freeze-dried potatoes, are piled high. There is chasqui, dried strips of llama meat marinated in salt and air. Corn is everywhere, roasted, boiled, ground into tamales wrapped in leaves. Nearby, thick stews bubble with pumpkin and spicy ají peppers. And then the chicha, a cloudy fermented maize drink sacred to the Inca, served in tall ceramic keros, its aroma sour and earthy. You do not drink for pleasure, you drink as an offering. Before the first sip, a priest lifts a small cup and pours it on the ground, an offering to Pachamama, the Earth Mother. This is not a meal, it is a dialogue with the divine. The music begins, soft pan flutes, slow drums, and the low, echoing notes of conch shell horns. Dancers move in slow circles. Their movements tell stories of the stars, the harvest, and the ancestors who walk unseen. You eat with silence between bites. Each dish has meaning. The llamas once carried these foods on their backs. The farmers who grew them did so under strict seasonal laws, dictated by the Inca calendar. Even the salt was gathered from sacred lakes under royal control. Every flavour is layered with history, labour, and cosmic responsibility. And as you eat, you feel it, that sense that the mountain is watching, Machu Picchu was built in perfect harmony with the surrounding peaks. The temples align with solstices. The windows frame distant mountains believed to house spirits called apus. The very stones breathe with intention. This feast, then, is more than nourishment. It is a ritual reaffirming the bond between people, gods, and the land. As the day fades and the shadows stretch long across the terrace walls, more offerings are made. Tiny gold figurines, corn kernels wrapped in cloth, prayers whispered into the wind. And then the sky shifts. The stars come out, cold and sharp in the thin air. The Milky Way, or Mayu, is the celestial river, flowing above like its mirror below. The Inca read the sky like a book, not just the stars, but the dark shapes between them, shapes of animals, of llamas, serpents, and pumas, etched in shadow. You finish the feast in silence, listening to the breath of the mountain. Tomorrow, the city will return to quiet. The terraces will wait for rain. The stone baths will shimmer in morning dew. And the rituals will sleep once more, waiting for the next feast, the next solstice, the next sacred moment. But tonight, you have eaten atop the clouds. You have shared food with gods, and in the hush of the mountains, your soul is full. Thank you for being here with me today. I hope to see you again soon.